Hey guys, so welcome to part 2 of our solution explanation for ONDC Built for Bharat negotiation engine. So in previous part, I explained the code to you. In this part, we'll be looking over the scenarios and highlighting what our main solution feature is. That is like we have come up with a score-based solution, as I explained in our previous video. So let's dive right into it. My teammate Prathamesh is gonna join us in the explanation part. So w- very beginning is that Prathamesh is gonna create buyers and sellers to show you how it works behind the scenes. Now over here, Prathamesh has created a buyer body, name, location, total purchases, all the things that a buyer will have. And if you notice the link in the post method, he is using our Google Cloud provided link. That is our project which is uploaded on Google Cloud. He's sending the method, sending the request to that link. So let's see. You notice as soon as he sends the request, he gets a status 201, which means created, as well as in return we send him the buyer object which was created with the ID of that object, as you can see over here. Next up, we'll create seller. Uh, Over here, if you notice, the seller is Prathamesh Nair, and all the required details and fields for the seller. Again, over here, we are going to change the field from localhost to our negotiation engine URL. Again, we get status 201 created, that is, it went successfully, and we'll receive ID for the seller over here. Now, we are going to use both of these IDs in our create negotiation, meaning there would be a negotiation between Prathamesh Nayak, that is seller in our case, and Prathamesh, that is our buyer. Right, so over here we have prepared a dummy body. Now Prathamesh is gonna simulate 6 test cases for us. The very first test case, Prathamesh is gonna display us the list of test cases right now. So the very first test case is that everything goes fine, it's a successful negotiation. Second test case is everything does go fine, but it takes a bit of time. So a mail gets sent to both buyers and sellers warning them to terminate the negotiation as soon as possible. Third case is the score is 75 plus, but after that it flatlines, meaning it enters a stale state. So we terminate that negotiation. Fourth case is 75, change rate below 25. Warning was sent. After warning, the models decided that they can successfully terminate that negotiation, so it goes successfully. Fifth is just straight up unsuccessful, below 75, as well as they couldn't work out the differences between each other. And sixth is someone maliciously tries to update as well as send satisfied request, in which our method takes control, and what it does is automatically turns the other entity into unsatisfied so that they can review the changes first, and after that they can see if they still want to stay satisfied or not. Let's dive right into it. Let's implement the first case. Over here is the negotiation body. Seller ID, buyer ID, we only need to supply those things. The rest of the things will be automatically refreshed. The product details, price history. Over here, seller is setting the price history to 50,000. This basically simulates the seller sending that template to buyer. Now buyer will respond to this. So let's create the negotiation first. As you can see, we received status 201, and we also received the entire seller buyer body, as well as will receive the negotiation ID at the bottom of this. Now, for any future updates of on this negotiation, we'll be using this ID. Now, if you notice in this body, if we go down a bit, you'll see that a buyer score was assigned. So this body is basically simulating the buyer's response to the seller. Now, buyer has decided to score it a 63. That is, he is not entirely happy with the negotiation and he wants to change the price from 50K to for 45K. So let's send this update request. So if over here, if you see the previous record gets stored, that 50K offer from seller stays here, as well as we see a 45K response from buyer in quantities as well. What buyer has proposed is he'll buy two things of whatever they are trying to buy, but at a negotiated rate. So seller will decide if this negotiated rate is good for them, considering the increase in quantities. So this is from seller points of view. Seller has decided that they are satisfied with the updated quantity. Okay. Let Prathamesh fetch the body. Alright, so over here, if we look, seller proposed that no, 45K is too much of a bargain for me, but I'm ready to give it to you at a value of 49K. That's the proposal from seller, and the satisfaction the seller has posted for the buyer's proposal is 62. But in return, he's saying if you are ready for 49, then I'm satisfied. So let's send this request. Status 200, that is okay. The request got appended, and the buyer is the turn of which entity to respond is buyer right now. So if you look at this, the status of the negotiation was open, as well as the seller score is 62 right now, buyer score is 63. Let's go ahead and send the request from buyer side now. Now buyer decides that the value of 46K is good enough for them, and for that they give the rating 70, and he tries to send a buyer satisfaction as satisfied. So if we send this request, we'll notice that the seller satisfaction will turn into unsatisfied. If we scroll down a bit, you can see the seller satisfaction automatically turned unsatisfied. This buyer tried to terminate the negotiation, but they updated the terms as well at the same time. That's why seller automatically turns unsatisfied. This is the protection mechanism. Now it's seller's turn to go further in this negotiation. Now seller decides, okay, I just want to make the sale. I have too much quantity on my hand. So instead of changing any values or anything whatsoever, Prathamesh will remove this entire body and they'll just simply send seller satisfaction as satisfied. If we look at the response over here, the status was 200 as we expect. If we scroll down a bit, we can observe that since seller, go up a bit, Prathamesh, we can observe over here that seller didn't make any changes to the body itself, to the proposal. That's why buyer satisfaction stayed satisfied as well as seller became satisfied over here. And the state of the negotiation turned successful. When both the entities are satisfied, the negotiation terminates and Prathamesh can show us the email which was sent to him, I'll pause the screen for now. All right, so if we look over here, Prathamesh received a mail, negotiation was successful. That is, when the negotiation terminates in a successful state, all the negotiation details are sent to both buyer and seller, and we can see all the details, including the price, which was 46K decided, and the quantity too. All right, so I'll pause my screen again. All right, guys, so Prathamesh is gonna show us case two now. That is a bit of back and forth, but after that they decide to terminate the negotiation. Sorry, be satisfied with the negotiation. So over here, Prathamesh is gonna create a new negotiation. He does that. He fetches the negotiation ID from here, and he starts the back and forth between buyer and seller. We aren't concerned with the contents of it right now. If you wanna just observe, you can observe what he does. Now, while doing back and forth, you can see the satisfaction won't increase. The score won't increase. And as well as seller satisfaction, he forgot to change. He said the seller satisfaction to unsatisfied. It should be unsatisfied. All right. Also, you'll observe that the score isn't going to improve over the iteration. So after the fifth iteration, Prathamesh will show us the mail that he'll receive, a warning mail. Alright guys, so if we look over here, Prathamesh received the email that is, please conclude the negotiation soon, else it will be terminated. Meaning the negotiation is entering a bit of stale stage. If you observe the negotiation ID 65C66, let's see in Postman if this is an ID or not. Let's head to Postman, and you can see in this request bar that's the same ID 65C66, meaning this is the negotiation the mail was about. So now let's fast forward again. Prathamesh is gonna zoom past, and actually no, he'll simply just make both of them satisfy and conclude the negotiation. And after that, we'll see the mail for the correct successful negotiation. So he'll receive error over here if he tries to send body as well. So he'll remove the body. Status 200. Okay, that is the negotiation was successful. If we scroll down, it went quite a bit of iterations. All the scores are stored as well. And in the end, you can see status successful. Let's head to mail. Also, you can observe over here, the alert sent flag turns into true. That is, one alert was sent to the user. Every negotiation has only one alert possible, one alert limit. After that, they'll terminate if they fail to improve their score. But over here, after one alert, we concluded the negotiation. That's why it won't terminate. Over here, if you look at it, the negotiation ID 65C66 and the entire negotiation details. In this conclusion, what we send in the end is just the final prices of the things. We don't send the entire summary. That's a future scope, but we felt like just the end was more relevant. That's why we did that. Let's move on to the next case. All right, guys. So let's head on to the next case. Prathamesh will create the next scenario, that is 75 plus score, stale, warning, terminate. Let's start by creating the negotiation. Let's pick the ID from this negotiation. Okay, it's ending in 663C. Let's change this ID 663C. Now the case is 75 plus. In 75 plus, if you remember the criteria, If the improvement is below 10, then we send the warning. In 75 below, the criteria was 25 up, improvement won't get any warnings. Over here, while as you go higher, the improvement decreases as well, right? So we have set the criteria as 10. So Prathamesh will go do the back and forth. I'll pause the video. Alright guys, so Prathamesh did the entire thing. He went through 10 iterations without any significant improvement, and you can see after 10th we get an error. Negotiation is already closed and cannot be updated. If we take this negotiation ID and use the get negotiation method to fetch the negotiation, then we can see there was no significant improvement in the scores. Let's scroll down, and you can see over here there was no significant improvement in score. That's why our system declared alert sent as true once the flag was set after fifth iteration. After total 10 iterations, if you count through this, yeah, after 10th iteration, the negotiation was terminated. Let's see his mail. But before seeing the mail, let's look at over here. The status turns into closed. And because of this closed status, they aren't allowed to make updates to the negotiation as highlighted by Prathamesh over here. Alright, so if you observe the negotiation ID 663C, the negotiation was warned once, and after that, after again five iterations, the negotiation has been closed due to no change in score percentage. Alright, so let's head on to the next test case. I don't think we need to simulate this fourth test case because it's like just the another variation of third one. So let's skip this, and let's skip the fifth one as well. And we already explained the sixth one. So yeah, what we are basically trying to say over here is that the needs of different sellers and buyers are different. ONDC is just gonna perform as a mediator. So what we want to say is using the score-based system and satisfied flag, we give sellers and buyers that flexibility to determine what's good for them and what's not. And yeah, while giving them that flexibility, we also enable an embedded intelligence in our project, which determines that if this negotiation is going successful or not. And if it is indeed going successful, we let the negotiation just continue on. But if it isn't, if the scores aren't changing that much, we warn them once. We don't directly terminate the negotiation. Even after the warning, the buyer app and seller app are adamant that they can't just find a common stance between them. Then we have no choice but to terminate the negotiation instead of just letting them stay in a infinite loop. And yeah, that's it for our explanation video. Thanks for coming along and watching it. And I hope you like our solution. We worked really hard over this past month. And also, we would like to thank ONDC for this opportunity to work on something new over this project. We learned a lot. And as you can see, Prathamesh has sent a comment as well. Thank you. So nice. Bye.